Oh my god.
In recent history, no other man has been as vocal and as adamant towards the colonization of Mars than SpaceX CEO Elon Musk. In fact, the whole effort of initializing SpaceX itself was aimed towards bringing forth the possibility of an interstellar human civilization, with Mars being the initial goal. This aspiration has pushed a new space race in the 21st century, and through development and initiatives brought on by Musk himself and SpaceX, this goal will be realized. In today's video, we're taking a look at Elon Musk's brilliant plan to colonize Mars. But before we jump into it, you know the routine. Like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for future updates. This is Tech Binge. Elon Musk is currently the most aspirational man on the planet. Through his vision and endeavors, we have been experiencing a continuous shift in several industries. Not only has he pushed the automotive industry, challenging norms and conventional structures by making efficient and more sustainable technologies through Tesla's battery-operated electric vehicles, solar panels, and home energy units, he continues to push the boundaries of every scope of industry he's currently involved in. He's pushed for alternative means of transportation by pushing for the Hyperloop, even opening the possibility of underground highways through the Boring Company. He's also pushing for a more responsible symbiosis between technology and biology by syncing the brain with artificial intelligence through Neuralink's implantable microchip interface that can not only solve many of humanity's current ailments, but could also greatly improve the overall human experience. Throughout his highly successful endeavors, most of which has been highly profitable enough to propel him to hold the top rank as the richest man on the planet, he's held a high regard to finding solutions to many of humanity's problems. While the potential of many of Musk's projects is seen to be at the forefront of advancing technology and human society, there's one person within his encompassing vision that has held a longer foothold: to bring the human race beyond our known limits in outer space, and to let humanity stay out there. In 2001, PayPal, which had merged with online financial service and email payment company X.com, which Musk co-founded, was acquired by eBay for $1.5 billion, with the sale of which Musk received over $100 million for. During this time, Elon Musk was already the visionary we all know he is today. He was already vocal about his interest towards Mars and had already started to pitch the Mars Oasis, a miniature greenhouse on Mars that would grow food and crops and reawaken public interest in space exploration. During this time, the general consensus towards space programs and projects by NASA had been conflicted due to the government's assessment of massive spending needed to support a space program. Within 2001 and 2002, Musk had been traveling to Russia with hopes of partnering with established space programs there, pushing for his own agenda. While he had been going around considering the acquisition of actual intercontinental ballistic missiles he could refurbish, those plans failed. Instead, in May 2002, he decided to risk it all himself and founded Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, better known as SpaceX. The company grew rapidly, from less than 200 employees in 2005 to more than 8,000 in 2020. SpaceX since then has become the most active aerospace manufacturer and space transport service of the modern era, developing several launch vehicles and rocket engines, cargo spacecrafts, the Starlink satellite constellation that can provide global internet access, and has already flown humans and cargo to the International Space Station on the SpaceX Dragon 2. As a private company, SpaceX has achieved many firsts. The first privately funded liquid propellant rocket to reach orbit with the Falcon 1 in 2008, the first private company to launch, orbit, and recover a spacecraft, the first private company to send a spacecraft to the ISS, the first to develop vertical takeoff orbital rocket, the first reuse of an orbital rocket, and the first private company to send astronauts to orbit to the ISS. As of early 2021, SpaceX has flown 21 cargo resupply missions to the ISS under a partnership with NASA. Much to say, SpaceX is currently the privately funded space program to beat, with a few other private players trying to play catch-up. With all these accomplishments, SpaceX has never lost the goal that Elon Musk had set early on in his life, that human civilization would one day flourish to be interstellar. This would first be achieved by actually developing the technology well enough to colonize and survive on Mars. In 2007, Elon Musk, through SpaceX, announced the personal goal of eventually enabling human exploration and settlement of Mars, with hopes of the arriving first humans on Mars no earlier than 2025. Musk's interplanetary ambitions stem from his moral calling and belief that the human race must be able to create alternative solutions if something terrible happens on Earth. Either made by humans or natural, we want to have insurance for life as a whole, as Musk has repeatedly proclaimed. Musk believes that humanity needs to leave Earth to ensure the survival of our species in the case of catastrophe or disaster. He's mentioned that Mars is currently the only candidate in the solar system, since Venus has lead-melting temperatures, crushing atmospheric pressure, acidic rain, and hot winds. The Moon has absolutely no atmosphere and resources. Mercury would be impossible to colonize due to its nearness to the Sun, while the bigger planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, are just condensed balls of gas that can never be habitable, and Pluto is simply too far and too cold. Mars is the absolute dream candidate for an initial colony outside Earth, with it being cold but not too cold and not too far from the Sun that the day would be significantly longer, which is important for growing food. Its gravity is a third of Earth's and has a lot of frozen water and a significant amount of carbon dioxide, which our planet's plants could turn into oxygen and allow the terraforming of Mars. And SpaceX has developed several rockets throughout the years that have allowed it to travel to outer space, such as the Raptor rocket engine and the Starship launch system, but furthering the evolution of its Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy booster systems still require plenty of development and a lot more money to spend. This plan to colonize Mars revolves around a vehicle that will take humans to Mars, a 100-meter ship codenamed the BFR, the Big Effin' Rocket, which was also given the more official title Super Heavy. The BFR would blast a spaceship carrying up to 100 people into orbit before returning to the launch pad for an upright landing. The rocket would blast off again carrying a fresh load of fuel for the transport ship, which would then start the colonists' journey to Mars. The transport SpaceX Starship would land on Mars, unload its passengers and cargo, and would be loaded with locally produced propellants to return to Earth. The estimated travel time would be approximately 115 days. While this endeavor in itself is a huge undertaking, the entrepreneurial option has been opened up by Musk, saying that the US government doesn't have the budget for Mars colonization, and that the private sector should see Mars as an attractive business venture. Musk has also mentioned that SpaceX is completely invested in ferrying humanity to Mars, and the human race must be as driven as he is towards building the target of actually making the first colony over there. There is a need to have a self-sustaining city on Mars, as it has to survive even when the resupply ships stop coming from Earth. He believes that it will take 1,000 spaceships to make life on Mars sustainable, which is something he already intends to do. Musk's goal of this Starship transportation system to Mars will be to launch each of SpaceX's reusable Starship rockets about 3 times per day on average, while carrying a 100-ton payload on each flight. That would roughly make 1,000 flights per year, launching a total of 100,000 tons of cargo into orbit. Life on Mars would be anything the colonists would make of it, with Musk believing that there should be fewer and less complicated laws on Mars than there are on Earth. Food would be grown on solar-powered hydroponic farms, located underground or in an enclosed structure. While these are simply Musk's vision of the future, these are more immediate than one would expect. Musk plans to send a SpaceX rocket to Mars with cargo only by 2022. Its second mission would bring more cargo and actual crew, targeted for 2024. Musk believes that SpaceX would be able to send at least 1 million people to Mars by 2050, saying that he would probably be long dead before Mars becomes self-sustaining, but would like to at least be around to see a bunch of his ships land on the targeted red planet. So what do you think about Elon Musk's brilliant plan to colonize Mars? We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And as always, you know the routine. Like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for future updates. Until next time.